Today we are talking about something that we don't talk about enough or at all: postnatal depression. That is a depression that faces women and men after the birth of a child.
Family members must have a high index of suspicion.
Explain that.
They must be aware that postpartum depression can occur.
People call you, they say things that, oh, welcome to the motherhood journey where you are working all your life till you go to the grave. You know? When I'm alone with the baby at night, thoughts like, how did I get here? I'll just think to myself, I should just carry this baby and slam out the world and let everything just end.
When they're going through this thing, they don't even know what it is.
When I was trying to push out the baby, because the baby was very big, the baby literally jumped out. And thank God someone was coming and that person got the baby.
You shouldn't be ashamed of anything, because guess what? You almost just died.
Because it's been hours of labor. In the midst of it, I begged them to take me into the theater. They said no.
And I think that one very important thing that women must also be allowed to have is the right of how it is that I want this baby to come forth. And so do I want to push the baby through vaginal delivery, or do I want to have a cesarean section? Some people.
So of course, in those 4 years, some of the things that were affected, I might go for 2 days without being able to pass out urine. And when I pass out urine, the stench will be horrible, that you don't want to be close to the place.
Look at having a child as some form of going through an ailment.
Dami and I, and probably Judith has probably been getting calls and DMs of women crying.
Of course.
That finally somebody is saying this thing. Because you know the funny thing? When they're going through this thing, they don't even know what it is.
Today we are talking about something that we don't talk about enough or at all: postnatal depression. That is a depression that faces women and men after the birth of a child.
And I kind of just slipped into postnatal depression. And I didn't even realize it when it started happening.
You must be aware that postpartum depression can occur.
So
not just in women, but in men as well.
Society tells us, by tradition, by literature, by media, by reported speech, that parents, fathers and mothers should be full only of the most resplendent joy after the birth of a child. That is a single story that is not true of the experiences of many men and many women in Nigeria and across the world. It is an illness. You know, it is something that is not their fault. It doesn't mean that they are not good mothers or good parents or human beings. It means that, like the rest of us, some people are liable to fall ill under certain circumstances, and all they need is love, support, and help. Today, I have two women who are courageously talking about postnatal depression.
How did I get here? I'll just think to myself, I should just carry this baby and slam out the world and let everything just end.
For 4 years, I went around with this condition, seeking for help. And in those 4 years, I slipped back into depression.
I have our favorite therapist, Dr. Bojubola Aberi, who is a psychologist and psychiatrist, who will talk about how to possibly prevent and to solve the problems of postnatal depression.
Such a tough. It's without support. And so, you know, for young ladies who may not have support in pregnancy, it's best that you wait.
And we have the cast and some crew members of the incredible and award-winning movie Ebun Pataki for Maria, which excellently, brilliantly dissects the issues, the contours of postnatal depression in an average Nigerian family. I'm so excited at the work that my producers have done.
And that is why this movie is so important.
Yes.
You shouldn't be ashamed of anything, because guess what? You almost just died.
Even though this new body you're gonna have,
Yeah.
there's a new person coming.
new person
You know, and then you have this new human too.
Yeah.
To attend
You know,
to.
to attend to.
attend to.
So meanwhile, it means you're not
Yourself.
going to be taking care of this new human.
And this
neglecting
reborn
your own
human
self.
to bring us an episode that is sure to change the lives of many mothers, expectant and new, across Nigeria and the world. Thank you for joining Masterclass with Chude.
I think that one very important thing that women must also be allowed to have is the right of how it is that I want this baby to come forth.
Yeah.
And so do I want to push the baby through vaginal delivery, or do I want to have a cesarean?
When I had my second son in 2011, I guided my heart like I've been advised. And I think it worked. But there were complications.
In the pregnancy or
No,
okay.
at having him.
Right.
He was a big baby,
Okay.
just like his brother. And the hospital where I had him, I was mismanaged.
Okay.
And here in Abuja. And when I went back to them, I'm sure it was a clear case. They should have been able to diagnose rather. But they didn't do that because they were trying to cover their track. So they said something that wasn't what happened. And I began to move from one hospital to the other in Abuja. And they all say I was fine. The only place where I was close to getting help, the moment I mentioned where I had the baby, they said, "You're fine." And so for 4 years, I went around with this condition, seeking for help. And in those 4 years, I slipped back into depression.
Right.
Should I go on?
Yes, please.
I slipped back into depression. So I knew there was a day in March 2014. I had the baby January 2011. So there was this day in March. I was in my room. That was the day of blackberries. And I was just flipping through. And I heard the word prolapse. And I just knew it was the Holy Spirit.
What's a prolapse?
A prolapse, now I'm not a doctor. In my layman's language, when I was trying to push out the baby, because the baby was very big, and they didn't do what the first doctor where I had my first child did, like trying to guide you for the baby to come out. The baby literally jumped out. And thank God someone was coming, and that person got the baby. If not, my baby would have probably just flew out like that. So my baby came out pale, because it's been hours of labor. In the midst of it, I begged them to take me into the theater. They said no, labor already progressed. So what prolapse did was to pull down some of my internal organs. Like I said, I'm a layperson, I'm not a doctor. But in that particular case, it was my bladder that fell from its place, fell down into the vulva. So of course, in those 4 years, some of the things that were affected, I wasn't able to poop like a normal person. I might go for weeks without being able to pass out feces. Then I might go for 2 days without being able to pass out urine. And when I pass out urine, the stench will be horrible, that you don't want to be close to the place. So I'm the HR manager in my place of work. My colleagues will go, Nike, you are proud. If you are the HR person and you are sure you've gotten the best of cleaners for us, why can't you share a bathroom with us? But the issue was, if Nike goes to that bathroom, nobody wants to stay in that office any longer. So I developed, borrow me a word, coping mechanism. I don't know if it's the right word to use, to keep my urine until I get home and go and let out.
Wow.
And even when I want to let out at home, I want to be sure my husband is not close, because I don't want to inconvenience him, even though he doesn't care, because the stench was horrible.
Wow.
So that was what I had to go through for 4 years until I found help in 2014. So while moving from one gynae to the other in Abuja without getting help, without knowing, I slipped back
into
into depression.
Yeah.